Hi, it's Brenna again. I'm back. It's still July 4th, 2014, and I mentioned in my introduction video that I live with chronic pain. I did explain what I have. It is called hypermobility syndrome or Ehrler Danlos. There are different types. What it is my joints are overflexible, so I can bend my wrist more than I'm supposed to be able to. When I go to straighten out my joints, they actually curve back on themselves. You can't really see because today's not a super flexible day for me. But what it does is, as my joints overflex, it stresses the tendons and ligaments and muscles around each joint, the stabilizers for most joints, and the joint fluid itself. It has affected me in that as those different connective tissues get stressed, you get inflammation in them. So on a regular basis, I deal with tendinitis, I deal with bursitis, I deal with sacroiliitis, which is A, really fun to say, and B, that's inflammation around my pelvic region, so like my hips, my lower back. Thought it was sciatica before I got into a decent rheumatologist. I actually work with a rheumatology team. There is a rheumatologist doctor, a certified nurse specialist rheumatologist, and a registered nurse that works with both of them. And they are amazing, and I'm not going to give their names because I haven't talked to them about the fact that I'm doing YouTube videos, so maybe at a later date I will give the name because they are amazing. If you can hear the crunching, that would be Lucifer to my left, our older tomcat who is declawed. And if you can hear the bell, that would be Tybalt, our kitten, who has all his claws and is psychotic. Anywho, not to talk about the cats, back to talking about chronic pain. So I had mentioned, like I said, about chronic pain in my intro video, explained what I'm dealing with. What I'm dealing with on top of my Ehrler Danlos is muscle degeneration. So my muscles are degenerating at a rate that I was told usually they expect with somebody who does something like mixed martial arts, someone who has been in car accidents, someone who abuses working out. Conversely, I've been told to be very careful when I work out. I just started riding a bike again because I can adjust that to make sure that I'm not hyperextending my hips, my ankles, or my knees, or my toes. That's a lot to think about when you're just trying to get out there and ride a lap around your neighborhood. I can do that. I can swim. I did mention in my intro video that I work 10 plus hours a day in manufacturing, and I'm on my feet, and I usually put on between 10 and 20 miles a day walking around the plant that I work at. I know that because I wear a pedometer, and you can input your step stride, so the length of your step. Mine is between 32 and 38 inches. I'm not super tall, but I was raised to, walk with purpose. And for me, apparently that translates into having a super long stride for someone who's barely 5.5 feet tall. So yeah, put on between 10 and 20 miles a day. Most days of the week, I either get up and take a bike ride, usually just about a lap around the neighborhood, because like I said, I'm just getting back into riding a bike. Or if I'm working, I'll usually do that. I'll get home, feed the animals, put the dog out, and then take a lap or two around the neighborhood. So what is it like living with chronic pain? What is it like living with hypermobility or Ehlers Danlos with muscle degeneration? Well, prior to that diagnosis, back when I was running on the idea that it was just chronic pain, or an arthritic disorder, which is what I was told by a doctor that I saw at the Mayo Clinic back in New England, where I'm from. Side note, there are over 300 arthritic disorders, so there's a good chance that you could be dealing with some version of it if you're dealing with chronic pain or chronic inflammation. I'm not a doctor, obviously. I'm just going by my experience. And honestly, if you're dealing with chronic pain and the doctor that you're currently seeing, whether it's your primary or a specialist, isn't getting you to the point where you can deal with it, you need to find a new doctor. There's no reason to live with chronic pain. that's my little soapbox bit for right now. So like I said, before I got a thorough diagnosis, what I was dealing with was every day I'd get up, have 2 to 4 500 milligram store brand Excedrin. So that would be aspirin mixed with Tylenol mixed with caffeine. And I'd have two to 4 pills when I got up. Usually after breakfast, but it got to the point where my stomach was so used to it that it didn't cause me to have any sort of reaction to it. I wouldn't get sick to my stomach. I wouldn't get heartburn from it even. And that's usually a bad sign once that stops happening, because aspirin can really damage your stomach lining, and acetaminophen, which is Tylenol, can damage your liver. So once you stop having any sort of reaction, if you don't have food in your stomach, that's when I would get worried. So, okay, get up, have breakfast, have 2 to 4 of those. A couple hours later, lunch or snack time, depending on how your workday works out or if you're still in school. Have something to eat, maybe take, depending on my pain, 1 to 2 more pills. Come lunchtime, at least 2 more. So now we're up to 6 if I only had to take 2 each time. And it's noon. A couple hours later, have another snack, or when I got home from work, have another snack before supper, maybe another pill. So now we're up to 7. And then at supper or before bed, depending on where my appetite was, because another thing that I ran into with chronic pain was I would find that I could either lose my appetite because I was in so much pain, or I might have a lower pain day, but because of the depression that tends to come on with it, because there is so much stigma, because people don't see what's going on and why you're having pain, I would often overeat. So that's caused me to have issues with my weight. You can tell by looking at me, I'm not gonna play games. I'm overweight and I'm doing what I can to handle it. One of those things is identifying why I overeat. Anywho, have another 2 to 4 pills between supper and bedtime. So you're up to around 10 pills a day on a bad day. 10 to 15 pills. That's not good. That's not good for anybody. And I was doing this since I was about 15 years old, and I'm 27 now. Oh, Boo just headed over to his scratching post, that black blob behind me. They make me happy. They distract me from the pain sometimes. So that's what a day looked like prior to getting a decent diagnosis. That was when I was in high school, and it wasn't until I moved out to the Midwest here in Minnesota that my first boyfriend, then fiance, and now husband really urged me to start taking better care of myself. I much prefer to put him in front of me in my priorities in life. My priorities are typically him, the cats, work, everything and everyone else, and then me last, simply because I don't always know how to take care of myself. And that's compounded by the pain. While I was waiting to get into the rheumatologist, my primary care physician tried a number of different things. On top of the Ehrler Danlos and the muscle issues, I also have a body chemistry, mostly based out of my liver in this case, where most painkillers and alcohol don't really work on me. I've never been drunk before. I've tried. A lot of the higher tier painkillers don't work on me. So she was trying different things, and it'd be, a 2-week prescription here or a month prescription there to try to find something. And unfortunately, just because something doesn't work for your pain doesn't mean it doesn't make you sick to your stomach. So at one point I was taking a pill and trying to get myself used to it that basically I would take with 2 to 4 Pepto-Bismol tablets and still be vomiting, still be feeling really crappy and missing work because of it. Fast forward to getting my diagnosis. This is what my day looks like. And I have everything laid out on a table, but I'm just going to show you piece by piece. The first thing is, I'm a member of IPSY, and I'm going to put my little referral link in the comments, or in my description, I guess. If you're interested, try them out. I love them. I get a bag every month, and one month I got a bag big enough to carry my medication. First thing is, daily I have to take duloxetine. That is the generic of Cymbalta, which it was just within the past 12 months was approved for the off-label use of pain management. It's typically used to treat, I believe, depression. I'd have to check on that. I'm sure somebody else can correct me in the comments. But it actually works for me not only to help manage the pain, but also to kind of wear down my liver so that the other stuff can work. The next thing that I have to take, and this is again once a day, just like the duloxetine, is my meloxicam. Yay, meloxicam. It's a high-powered anti-inflammatory. It is an NSAID, so I cannot take aspirin, I cannot take naproxen sodium, I cannot take ibuprofen now. The only thing I can take if I have a headache is Tylenol, because the meloxicam again is an NSAID. It would put my stomach and other facilities in danger if I were to take another NSAID along with it. That is strictly for the inflammation. We started me on that because of my lower back. Now, the last pill that I have to take every day is tizanidine. Ooh, tizanidine. It's a muscle relaxant. What tizanidine does is works as a muscle relaxant. I don't know the chemistry behind it. I'm not a chemist. But it makes it so that basically it's the main painkiller. The Cymbalta kind of makes my body able to use everything. The meloxicam takes care of the inflammation, and then the tizanidine steps in. It's kind of like that pinch hitter. It kills the pain. So these three, we're going to go back in my bag. Oh. And it goes with me everywhere. If I get halfway to work and I realize I don't have this, I have got to turn around. If I do not turn around and get this, then I'm going to end up coming home usually before lunch because of the pain caused by the Ehrler Danlos and the inflammation. So that's the pills. The other thing that is in my chronic pain Ehrler Danlos toolbox is this. This is one of 4 medical grade reusable ice and hot packs that I have. I keep 2 at home, so there's always at least one in the freezer even if I'm using it. And I keep 2 at work. If I go anywhere for the day, they go in a cooler and they go with me, along with other ice to keep them cold. That again is for the inflammation. You typically have to use those on my forearms. I get tendinitis in and around my elbows, and those also work on my neck because I have issues with my neck due to the inflammation of my muscles and joints and spine from being overly flexible. So it's 4 of those, 2 at home, 2 at work. And if you have inflammatory issues, I would recommend keeping at least 2 at home and at least 2 at work. Simply because hot and cold can probably be the quickest way to arrest the symptoms, even if you're still using your medications. The third thing that is part of my toolkit is this giant bugger. This is a walking knee brace. What that is that's to help stabilize my knee, because one of the things I run into being hyper flexible is dislocation. My knees like to slide in and out of joint, and that walking brace is what helps keep my knee from bending like this instead of like this, and instead of bending from the side to the side. It's adjustable. It uses Velcro straps. It's neoprene. It's hot. As in, it's so hot and it chafes so badly if you sweat that I actually just use plain old Ace bandages when it is really hot and really humid. And there's one other thing, and I didn't grab it simply because everybody's going to use something different, but the other thing that I use a couple of times a week is hot and cold cream. A friend of a friend of a friend kind of thing to get it, but for me, my best friend's girlfriend gets Melaleuca, which is really popular out here. I don't know about other places. I don't use it myself. Gave me their Penetrate cream, which is kind of like Tiger Balm, but anything like that is going to work. It's not going to have enough salicylatate, which is aspirin basically, like topical aspirin kind of, if you want to think of it that way. It's not going to get absorbed enough to be an issue with the meloxicam or whatever NSAID you may be on, but it can help by bringing the heat to your pain zone at the time and helping kind of relax it away. Painotrate is what she gave me. My certified nursing specialist recommended Tiger Balm. That's what she uses because she has her own inflammatory issues. You could always use the icy hot patches if you don't like the smell. Then Painotrate really does work, but you smell like an old lady's purse. It really does smell like those crappy white mints. Also, you want to try to stay active. For me, I work, like I said earlier, I walk 10 to 20 miles a day at work, the bicycling, or you can go swimming, whatever's low impact, but will still keep you moving. If you can keep your weight under control, not everybody can lose weight. It's difficult, especially when you are so restricted in what you can do, but if you can try to keep tabs on it, that's always better than gaining weight. If you're underweight, talk to your primary care physician or your rheumatologist and see where you should be at for a healthy weight, because being underweight isn't any better. What other things do I do on a day-to-day basis to handle this? I do this now. I vlog to share what I struggle with. We have 2 cats. My best friend, he's like my big brother. He lives with us. He's got a dog. So I play with the animals, take care of them. Taking care of other people is really, for me, a great way to not focus on how badly I may feel that day, mentally or physically. And I've got a good support group. I've got my husband, my big brother, my in-laws, my older sister's amazing. For me personally, prayer can be important. I wouldn't say that I do the, head bowed, hands clasped kind of prayer all the time, but sometimes a quick closing my eyes and saying, God, I'm here and I just need some help. For me, that's enough to just give it over and realize that sometimes being strong on your own isn't really strength. It's weaker than asking for help. Psycho kitten on the loose. But yeah, I also talk with friends that also deal with chronic pain. Sharing stories and what we've accomplished in spite of it is great. So that's a day in the life of chronic pain, a day in the life of Ehrler Danlos. If you like that, you can subscribe to this channel. There will be more on that. And if you don't like it, click that X at the top of your browser. Don't be rude. Other than that, I guess this is Brenna of Think B signing off.